Canada, once a magnet for dreamers, families, and fresh starts, is now witnessing something unimaginable. They came in waves from Pakistan, from the Philippines, from Nigeria, from France, from India, China, Brazil, from Syria, Somalia, South Korea, and Ukraine. They came with degrees, with ambition, with the promise of a new life. They stood in airports holding children, signed leases for overpriced condos, worked night shifts in hospitals, in trucking yards, in aging tech startups, in downtown offices glazed in glass. But now, they're leaving, not just in whispers, but in numbers. In 2025, Canada, a country once defined by coming in, is now seeing record numbers of immigrants and citizens quietly, deliberately moving out. This is the story of the immigration reverse, and it's bigger than just bad rent. Canada used to sell a dream, not with marketing slogans or tourism campaigns, but with the actual system. Come here, they said, work hard, get permanent residency, raise a family. You'll be safe, you'll be free, you'll belong. For decades, this wasn't just rhetoric, it was true. From the 1970s onward, Canada developed one of the most sophisticated immigration systems in the world, built around meritocracy and long-term planning. The points-based system rewarded education, language skills, and work experience. Newcomers were expected to contribute, and many did, helping to build modern Canada through a growing middle class, diverse cities, and even boosting birth rates in aging regions. But something shifted, and for millions of newcomers who arrived in the last 5 years, the dream didn't match the reality. 2023. Canada's housing crisis hits global headlines. A one-bedroom apartment in Toronto rents for $2,600. In Vancouver, it's $2,800. The price of groceries surges. Milk, chicken, even rice and onions become luxury items. A family of 4 in Mississauga now needs nearly $6,000 per month just to break even, and that's without owning a car. And while costs go up, wages, they barely move. For new immigrants on student visas, international tuition pushes them into debt. For permanent residents, jobs promised in the system often turn out to be underpaid, unstable, or blocked by the infamous phrase, Canadian experience required. And yet, these are not isolated complaints. They're systemic symptoms. Renters evicted en masse for Airbnb conversions. Skilled professionals driving Ubers. Families working 3 jobs while living in shared basements. International students resorting to food banks. The very people Canada once begged to come are now looking for ways out, not just because it's hard, but because it feels like a broken promise.
In early 2025, Statistics Canada dropped a report few were ready to believe. Immigration from Canada has doubled in the last 3 years, reaching levels not seen since the 1970s. Among them, international students, new immigrants, and even second-generation Canadians. Another report from RBC painted a darker picture. 1 in 5 international students said they plan to leave Canada permanently after graduation. Over 60% of young renters in Toronto said they were actively considering emigration within 5 years. 34% of surveyed new permanent residents said they were disappointed or disillusioned with life in Canada. This wasn't a fringe movement. This was a quiet wave. A reverse migration fueled by stress, disappointment, and the realization that maybe Canada wasn't the land of the future after all. Why do people leave a country they fought so hard to enter? It's not always about money. It's about meaning. The psychology of immigration tells us that when expectations are high and reality underdelivers, the emotional impact can be devastating. For many newcomers, Canada was the escape plan. The promised land. The safe, stable country where you could build a legacy. But when the welcome turns into bureaucracy, when opportunity becomes exploitation, and when stability is replaced with survival, a mental shift begins. Maybe this isn't home after all. Some go back to their countries of origin, older, wiser, perhaps humbler. Others try new lands, Portugal, Germany, the UAE, or even the US. Let's go beyond statistics. Let's meet the people. 1. Aisha, 27, from Nigeria came to Canada for a master's in public health. Graduated with honors. Couldn't find a full-time job after 12 months. Worked 3 part-time gigs. Shared a 2-bedroom apartment with 5 others. Left for Dubai in early 2025. Now working for a healthcare consultancy firm, tax-free salary. Life is stable. Her words, Canada was a dream. But dreams can feel like prisons when there's no way up. -2. Rajiv and Meena, couple from India, both software engineers. Immigrated in 2021. Bought a condo at the market peak, $860,000. Interest rates doubled. Groceries spiked. Lost child benefits due to income threshold. Moved to Portugal in 2024. Now remote working for U.S. firms. Their words, we came to Canada for peace. But it was just endless economic anxiety. -3. Lucas, 32, born in Montreal, second generation Canadian. French speaker. Degree in economics. Tried for years to find stable work in Quebec. Moved to Sweden in 2025 on a tech visa. Says he's never coming back. His words, Canada doesn't know what to do with its talent. So talent leaves. These are not outliers. They are the new face of Canadian immigration. But the result is the same. They leave quietly, but with heartbreak.
Why isn't this being talked about more? In the next section, we'll dive deep into the political reaction, or lack thereof, why parties avoid the conversation, how immigration is still treated like a badge of honor, even when it's faltering, and what this reverse migration reveals about the future of Canadian identity. Would you like me to continue with part to chapters 6 to 10 next? This will take us into political silence, student visa chaos, interprovincial migration wars, Canada versus other Western nations, and what the media refuses to say. Let me know and I'll continue the next 2,000 words. Canada has always taken pride in its immigration system, calling it the most compassionate, structured, and progressive in the world. So when people start quietly leaving, what do politicians say? The answer? Almost nothing. The federal government's messaging has remained largely focused on welcoming newcomers, boasting about immigration targets for 185,000 permanent residents into $1,020 for $1,500,000 into $1,025,505. Zero plan for 2026. And yet, there's no real acknowledgement that thousands of those same newcomers are leaving within just 1 to 3 years. Why? Because in politics, the image of immigration is more valuable than its reality. Talking about mass immigration means admitting the cost of living is unmanageable. The job market isn't working for immigrants. The education to employment pipeline is broken, and Canada might not be the forever home it once was. In short, it's political suicide to say out loud what millions already feel. So instead, we get silence. And while the government refuses to acknowledge the reverse migration, more and more Canadians, new and old, are packing their bags. If one group embodies the broken promise of Canada's system, it's international students. In 2023 alone, over 900,000 international students entered Canada, but the reality they faced was far from the glossy university brochures. Many paid 3x to 5x more than domestic students. They were promised work permits, job opportunities, and a pathway to permanent residency, but instead, they found exploitative landlords charging $800 plus for a mattress in a basement, colleges operating as diploma mills, more interested in tuition than education, jobs that didn't materialize, or ones that barely paid minimum wage, mental health breakdowns due to isolation, overwork, and debt. Some turned to food banks. Others fell into black market work just to survive. And as more student visa scandals emerged, including fake acceptance letters and fraudulent consulting agents, trust in Canada's education immigration pathway began to collapse. By 2025, thousands of students chose to leave. They returned home angry, broke, and exhausted, or they left for better opportunities in Europe, the Gulf, or Australia. The message was clear: we came to study, you treated us like customers, so we left.
Not everyone leaving Canada is leaving the country. Some are just leaving Ontario and British Columbia. In the last 2 years, interprovincial migration has spiked, and the trend says it all. People are leaving Toronto and Vancouver in droves, moving to Calgary, Edmonton, Halifax, Regina, Moncton, searching for cheaper housing, better work-life balance, and less stress. The phrase escape from Toronto has become more common in online communities than ever before. Why? Because life in Canada's largest cities has become unlivable for the middle class. In Toronto, average rent for a one-bedroom, $2,600. Commute times up to 90 minutes. Childcare costs over $1,200 a month per kid. Home ownership, a fantasy. In contrast, Calgary offers rent nearly 30% lower, no provincial sales tax. Jobs in tech, energy, and finance, and a population actually growing with optimism. What we're witnessing is an internal reshuffling, a domestic migration revolution. And while it's better than leaving the country altogether, it still reflects the same underlying truth. People are fleeing broken systems. Let's zoom out. Canada's brand has always competed with other high-trust, high-income countries. The United States, the United Kingdom, Australia, New Zealand, Germany, the Nordic nations, but in 2025, something strange is happening. Canada is falling behind. In Australia, similar climate of immigration but faster work permits. Clearer residency pathways, universities ranked higher globally, international students have stronger employment outcomes in Germany. Growing English language programs, tuition is nearly free. Even for foreigners, cities are walkable. Rent is still reasonable in many areas in Portugal and Spain. Startup visas and digital nomad programs have exploded. Cost of living is lower. Weather and quality of life attract Canadians and immigrants alike, and even the UAE, which many used to see as temporary, now offers tax-free income, high-tech jobs, safety, luxury lifestyle with fast residency processing. In contrast, Canada feels slow, bureaucratic, expensive, and emotionally draining. The international competition is fierce, and Canada is no longer the automatic winner. If so many people are leaving, if students are suffering, if the dream is fading, why isn't this front-page news every week? Because the media in Canada often focuses on immigration numbers, not immigration outcomes. Avoids criticism of policy for fear of appearing anti-immigrant, treats immigration as anecdotal or isolated, not systemic. But YouTube channels, Reddit forums, Telegram groups, and private Discord servers tell another story, greater than I left and I don't regret it. Canada made me feel invisible. Leaving saved my sanity. We're happier abroad. And when social media becomes the only place where truth is told, you know the mainstream narrative is broken. Canada, for all its beauty and safety, is no longer the untouchable dream. The cracks are visible, and for hundreds of thousands, the exits are real.